And I wrote a poem for this tree.
Yeah?
Could you put the poem on the thing if I said it for you?
Certainly could.
Could you hear it from here?
Yes.
Because they like it. I heard a crying in the night, a sighing in the trees. I went out into the pale moonlight in the chilling autumn breeze. My Janey tree was crying, and as it shed each leafy tear, it seemed that it were dying as it faced the winter drear. I stood there in the cold night wind. I caressed its rugged bark, then shed a quiet tear myself as I stood there in the dark. So long ago I planted it. I planted it for Jane, then watched them grow together, fed on love and sun and rain. I recall that on that Arbor Day, I snapped her photograph, and though she's miles and miles away, in the breeze I hear her laugh. How swiftly pass the flying years. I've grown old and gray, and where that laughing queen once stood, this sylvan monarch stands today. I go back inside to my darling, and I share my reverie, and we speak of happy times there spent there with that blessed tree. And oh, when spring renews its bloom, may my darling come with me, and we'll share the beauty and our love beneath the Janey tree. I thank you.
Very good, thank you.
A poem that I wrote for a younger brother of mine many, many years ago. I was just a boy when this experience happened, and I was a high school boy when I wrote the poem, thinking back on this experience as a child. The first big carnivals, the big traveling carnivals after World War I began to come around back in 1925. And this little incident happened to me about 1926 or 27. I went to see the first carnival. I told my mother I was going to the carnival, and she said, take your little brother. Oh, Mom, I don't want to take him. Let him stay home. Take your brother and stay home. So I took him. And I'd like to recite my little poem for you, for my brother Frank. I've been around this world a bit, seen sights both grand and rare, but there's nothing has ever impressed me like the Glendale Fireman's Fair. Why, I turned that 3rd Street corner with my brother by the hand, and I stopped in stunned amazement, for I viewed a fairyland. Why, I must have seen a million lights, I heard 1,000 sounds, and I know I smelled 100 smells emanating from that grounds. A whirling, glittering carousel, its organ timpani, invited every boy and girl to join this company. And oh, that towering Ferris wheel, it almost reached the sky. 2 little boys just trembled to think they'd go so high. Now they had a tiny midway, but to us it looked a mile, and it was filled with frownless faces, for each one wore a smile. There was the smell of cooking onions next to wieners on a grill. We hadn't any money, but we looked and smelled our fill. There was the aroma of roasting peanuts and cotton candy too, and hot buttered popcorn in striped paper bags for you. Now I felt a tousling of my hair, which I turned to rearrange, and there stood our big brother with his big fist full of change. Oh, can't you hear the happy laughter floating on that warm spring air? It's thanks to that big brother, 2 little boys sure toured that fair. Turn back the clock, O Father Time, reverse that hourglass sand, and let me be a boy again, with my brother by the hand. Let me once more turn that corner, view that scene beyond compare, and just for a while be little boys again, at the Glendale Fireman's Fair.
That was very good. You used to do one, it was about somebody who had a shotgun, and in order to hit something, it had to be aimed low and to the right.
Oh, that was no poem to that. It was just a story. When I was a small boy, the same brother that gave me the change for the fair took an old 12-gauge shotgun, a full choke, and he's going to cut 4 inches off the barrel so it would scatter more. But he cut right through the choke, and I blew the choke up, and the shot would just go poof, and you couldn't find it, and you couldn't get it. So I found out that most of the shot would go high to the left. So when I would study, where our game would go out, I would holler, low to the right, and I would shoot down here, and I would smack them up there and hit them, and that was the story. Instead of hollering, there he goes, I can walk into a place today, and some old timers have been there, they'll holler, low to the right at me, because instead of hollering, there he goes, I, pow, and I did well with it. You should have held a lot of quail with that low to the right.
Yeah, so low to the right was more or less saying, there he goes.
There he goes. That's just another one of those little things.
What was the one you used to do about Frank Sedler? He used to have a poem about Sedler.
I ever do?
Or was it Sully?
About Hayes Miller's place?
No.
Did I ever do the Ballad of Crazy Sam for you?
No.
About the dog?
Now, that's one that I've heard in years gone by, but I haven't heard recently.
Well, let me do that one for you, because this is a good poem. I use this a lot at trap meetings when I give little talks and so forth, or little banquets. While running the hills for an old hunter's thrills at Hayes Miller's near Babington Dam, with Whitey and Frank on an old strip bank and a crazy old dog named Sam. Now it's cold and it's wet and there's no rabbits up yet, and Frank he's beginning to bitch when with a yelp and a yell like a bat out of hell, old Sam jumps one out of a ditch. Well, it's wham bam, goddamn, here Sam, I missed him, he's going still. Whitey turns with a grin, Frank shooting's a sin, and Mr. Rabbit runs over the hill. Now it's round and round on that old strip ground, Sam's howling and doing his thing, and old Mr. Rabbit with his usual habit, he's running around in the ring. Now Frank's up on a stump with the wind on his hump and the cold rain down on his back, and his old coat is leaking as Mr. Rabbit comes sneaking down on that old back track. Now it's wham bam, goddamn, here Sam, I missed him, he's coming to you. It's a crack of a gun, and it's Rabbit number 1, and it's into the coat for guess who. Now this goes on all day in that peculiar way, when the shooting's all going to one. I'd jump up on a log, and Sam, my old dog, he'd fetch him around to the gun. Now I shot some for Whitey, and I got some for Frank, and I gave old Hayes 2 or 3, 'cause I'm a game hog, and Sam, my old dog, he's out to accommodate me. Now I never made excuses for my old Sam, never an alibi. It was never too hot, it was never too cold, never too wet or too dry. He'd give you 8 hours of pounding the briars and still be ready to go. He'd dive in the brush and the rain and the slush, and he'd nose every track in the snow. Now old Sammy's gone where the good doggies go, and I think it's somewhere in the sky. And if they have rabbits with earthly habits, I'm sure Sam will give them a try. Then maybe some angel with a golden gun will miss one along the way. With a wham bam, goddamn, here Sam, oops, what will the master say? Now I've had many dogs since, some of no consequence, and I don't want this story to drag on. But old Sam, it seems, was the dog of my dreams. He's one hound I owned I could brag on.
That was very good, Bill. That should be published. Should be in the Field and Stream.
You still got some more stuff on that machine?
Yeah, I do.
I got into all this hunting and shooting because I was such a small boy. I was always very little, and I'm only 5'5" tall now. I'm 72 years old and still hunting and still chasing. But I got into hunting and shooting because I couldn't play basketball, couldn't play football, couldn't do the other things that other boys do. But my brother Ed brought me home, same one gave me the change for the carnival. My brother Ed brought me home a hound pup back in 1928. And when that dog was 4.5 months old, you'd think he was 4.5 years old. He was wonderful. And all of a sudden I had a million friends. Everybody wanted to go hunting with me. Here's my little poem. May I attest for the poor oppressed boys of stature small, for the big boys just won't let you play unless you own the ball. And may I explain how I beat their game and my pleasure knows no bounds, for to them I seem to grow a foot when they'd see me with my hounds. Then it's, hey there Bill, come hunt with me, I know a special place, and it's just chock full of rabbits that your dogs would like to chase. And it's just for you and me, old pal, we're buddies now, you see. And I'll stuff my coat with rabbits that your old Sam will chase for me. And oh, the doors that were open wide through the grace of dear old Sam. Hey there, Bill, come have a beer, no matter where I am. Step up, old pal, and meet my friends and have a taste of brown. Nothing's too good for the little man with the best damn dog in town. Now I dreamt I died, and I stood outside of heaven's pearly gate, and waiting there patiently was Sam, and he had had a long, long wait. Now St. Peter wouldn't let us in. What manner grand he had. He said he had heard about us too, and how old men and old dogs smell bad. But there came along another saint with a tattered, briar-torn cloak, and he cradled an ancient shotgun, and softly he spoke. For Christ's sake, Pete, just let him in. He don't look so awful bad. Besides, that's a good-looking dog he got, and it'll make the master glad. Well, lights come on, and music played, and the gates they opened wide, and old Sam and I together, well, we just strolled inside. And I heard this wondrous voice exclaim, "This is the happy hunting ground. Though we're still not sure about you there, Bill, well, you can come in with a hound." Now the moral of my story, if my first verse you recall, is little man get you an old hound dog, or you better own the ball. That's my story for small boys.
That was very good.
Okay.
Okay, here's Bill going to explain another poem and then go into the poem.
My mother, I was just a schoolboy, and grade school, and my mother was very, very sick. took her years, 6 years to die. My mother had an internal cancer and everything and going wrong with her. And I used to stop at the church and say a little prayer for her. And in the church we had vigil lights that you could light, and people dropped a nickel in there in a little slot. There was a little token for light a candle and say a prayer. And I didn't have a nickel, but I had 3 cents. So I waited till a couple old ladies left the church, and I put the 3 cents in. And I lit my candle, I said my prayers, and being an honest boy from the Irish school, I blew the candle out, so I just had 3 cents worth. Years later, when I was in high school, and my mother was gone, I wrote this little poem for her, and I won a little prize with it. I've come to pray for my mother, Lord. She's ever so sick, you see. And I'd like to pray for my father, too, for he shares in her agony. And I'd like to light a candle, Lord, but I've only 3 pennies with me. And I know that they cost a nickel, so I'm 2 pennies short, you see. So may I please light a 3-penny candle? I'll just let it burn for a while. Up there high on the cross, Lord, that I just see Jesus smile. It's not my prayer alone, Lord, of brothers and sisters too. And if we can't have Mother at home and well, won't you please take her home with you? Thy will, not ours, be done, Lord. And I know that you'll do what's best. But oh, she's so sick and so tired, Lord, and so badly in need of rest. Now I've often heard it said, Lord, that prayers arise like smoke. So when I blow out my 3-penny candle, may it smolder with love and with hope. And when my time has come, Lord, to seek the promised land, may Mother be there to guide me. 3-penny candle in her hand.
Very good.
I wrote that for my mother.
Man, you remember all these verses after all these years. I guess
just
you...
those things in that old tape recorder head of mine.
Yeah, it sounds like you got them locked in there and you can remember every word and every verse and all the emphasis.
She said one night when she was so sick, and she was going upstairs, and she says, oh, I'm even too tired to say my prayers. And I wrote a poem on that one time. She says, dear Lord, tonight I am too tired to pray. She kissed a sleeping husband. Beside him lay. The good Lord looked down from above and smiled. Today she soothed the hurt and crying child. Her house she cleaned, her garden tended, her children fed, their clothes all clean she mended. An aging neighbor, ill and sick abed, a friendly visit, a bowl of her good soup she fed. Her husband home from his hard work, the world's duress, found peace, found comfort in her deep gentleness. The evening meal, the blessing asked, the children's ire, the evening's tidy task. The good Lord smiled and looked from above on this all-giving, never-asking love. Too tired to pray? Her hands have offered prayers of love to me all day.
That's very good. Okay, here we are. We're going to do a little poem here about Rita.
This little poem for Rita, I sent her for Mother's Day one year, and you know Rita had a very serious operation some years ago, and she almost made herself left-handed, working in her garden. And she had a beautiful, beautiful flower and rock garden, and everybody loved it. She used to get thank you cards on it from people, and people would call us and tell us how pretty it was. But as she got older and things changed, she had to give it up. It was just too much. So one Mother's Day, I wrote this little poem for it, sent it to her. What happened to Rita's garden? I don't see its blooms anymore. It was such a beautiful garden, with flowers and colors galore. It was a treat for all of the neighbors, for all who passed by too. So in payment for Rita's labors, God made her lovelier too. O'er the years I watched her work there, watched her gold hair turn to gray, as she labored there in the garden that she loved and tended each day. And though the garden is gone now, with one bloom I'll never part. For Rita, its loveliest flower blooms in the garden of my heart. A little sentimental.